In this video, we're going to be covering what the moon in Aquarius in the 6th house means natally. So if you have this placement, this is the right video for you, obviously. But so the moon in Aquarius shows this emotional detached nature because there is a security that comes from being logical about one's emotions or being in control of one's emotions. The moon doesn't particularly feel comfortable here because the moon rules Cancer and Aquarius is the 8th sign from Cancer. So there's an 8th influence, and 8th is a malefic influence. It's like a lack or a suppression kind of energy, or a transformational energy, but in the sense that things are complicated, and emotions and logic don't really mix, so they kind of contradict each other. But when you have the moon in Aquarius, you kind of sacrifice your emotions a little bit in order to be logical. There's also this emotional need for self-reliance. There's this emotional need for freedom. And so anyways, being in the 6th house with the moon in Aquarius indicates is that this control over their emotions that these people have is in order for them to account for all the details or to remain logically organized in their mind. And this is also something that gives them a sense of stability or security, which is, the meaning of the moon or the significance of the moon. The 6th house has to do with details and organization. It has to do with routine, and it has to do with reality. It's the very much tangible world, and it's about tangible things that can be done physically, not just in theory, So the moon, which also shows us our creative substance, or like our creative resources, what we use in order to make things happen, which I covered that in a Patreon video. But basically, the moon is what we use in order to do like anything, any or all things. So, when you have an objective, you tap into your moon as the resource. So when you go to work and you have to do a project, you tap into your moon in order to follow through and finish that project or do that thing. When you create an art piece, you tap into your moon in order to create it, to do that thing. So when we do things, the moon is the resource we use. Just in general, that's what astrologically it signifies. And in this case, the creative resource that these people use is they use reality. They use what's tangible around them. They don't necessarily use concepts and philosophy and theories or forms of imagination or creativity. They use they use very organized things. They use like lists, tasks, details, and they use the physical material world around them in order to do things. So very realistic individuals. And so with the moon being in Aquarius and in the 6th house, they're very self-critical of their emotions, and they're very in control of their emotions because they don't want to interfere with the creative process. They don't want those biases to interfere with what they're doing or with their conclusion. The moon often shows our feelings and also our intuition about things. It has to do with like hypothesis. So things that we feel in our heart, but that have yet to be shown or proven. And these individuals have this very high self-criticism of their emotions, of their feelings. They really take those things into account, and they take into account every single possible detail, and they're very logical and what's the right word, the other word for this, calculated, when it comes to doing things. So very, very realistic type people, but they have an element of creativity as well, because they use logic and common sense. They don't let reality put them in a box. They use reality as a tool in addition to common sense, or as a variable in the formula, which is common sense. So they'll take realistic concepts, realistic observations, and they'll add it to forms of systems and logic and mind kind of processes in order to create some sort of objective. And this applies to like any area of life, because the moon is that resource we use. It's the way that we just do things, if that makes any sense. When somebody asks you to do anything, or when you expect yourself to even do something, you automatically go into this logical mindset, or this emotional detached mindset that is very objective, calculated, and takes into account every possibility. So anyways, hopefully that made sense. I feel like this one is somewhat complicated in the sense of the logic and stuff, but yeah, there's this emotional complications that happens. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to like, share this video, and subscribe to this channel. And if you wanted a natal chart reading, I do those as well. The link is in the description for that. But other than that, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in another video.